Hello and welcome to Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. On today's show, Cara DeFalco will give us a taste of her show, Cara's Cucina, and her mission that goes beyond the television and into her community. But first, the Junior League of Morristown is a women's organization dedicated to volunteering, improving communities, and developing members' potential. With their fall fundraising event coming up, Melissa Spiata, the outgoing president of the Junior League of Morristown, is here to tell us more. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, we are so happy to have you on here to talk about the beautiful mission of the Junior League of Morristown. I know that it is made up of a phenomenal group of women.
We've existed in Morristown for almost 90 years, but the Junior League has a very long history in our country, and I'm really proud to be part of it.
What led you to join the Junior League of Morristown?
So, about 12 years ago, my daughter was, I guess, about 2.5 years old, and I was looking to give back to the community. I was already involved in my daughter's school, but the idea of joining an organization that is strictly for women was very appealing to me. And I had read about the Junior League in my town and I had missed kind of the window to join. And the following year, I got involved and I've been involved ever since. And now my daughter's a freshman in college. And I was lucky enough to be asked to be president about a year and a half ago. And it's been a real pleasure.
Talk about the work that the Junior League does in the community.
So we do lots of different things. We recently we held a bingo night with local seniors. We do drives for different community organizations. In our history we do a lot with the Interfaith Food Pantry, with Cornerstone, with Homeless Solutions. There's so many organizations in our area. There's so much need in our area because I live in Morris Township, but Morris Township is a donut around Morristown. And so there's wide income disparities in our community. So there's lots of need. Another area where we help is with grants and scholarships.
You're lending talent, you're raising funds, you're doing a lot of different things. How can organizations in the community come to you and engage with you to help them with their efforts?
So, a couple of different ways. I mean, every year we have an annual grant application process. So, that's one way. They can also reach out to our website, and there's a form they can fill out asking for help from us. But we're pretty connected with a lot of local organizations. So, I think the ones in our area, because we serve Morris and Somerset County, I think they do know us and they can reach out to us. But yeah, our website is a really easy way.
While you're out in the community doing all of this fun grassroots efforts, I'm sure so many friendships are born amongst the women. Can you talk about that aspect?
Yeah, actually, it's a huge aspect of it. And so when I first joined, I asked two of my good friends to join with me. So we were new members together, and that's a big part of the process. And what we're finding actually very interesting, kind of coming out of COVID, a lot of organizations have really struggled with finding volunteers. And we're lucky in our area that there's a lot of young women that have just moved here and they don't know a lot of people. And so just this past year, our new member class was over 20 people because women are looking for opportunities to give back, but they're also looking for opportunities to create friendships. So that's a big variable, which I just love. I love being able to be part of that, and then because we're multi generational, the ability for folks my age and older being able to mentor younger women earlier in their careers is a really fun opportunity for all of us to benefit from.
Are there any requirements that a woman needs to join the Junior League?
So right now, besides paying dues, our only requirement is that you accept what we call a placement, which means that you have a position in the organization, and that could be a leadership position or it could be acting on a committee. But besides that, that's really it. We used to have X number of meetings you needed to attend, X number of fundraising opportunities you participated in or volunteered in. So we've really kind of pared it down because we want people to be able to kind of flex based, depending on their life, whether it's having children or having a schedule where they travel a lot. And one of the things that we've added is the ability to be virtual. Like the pandemic really kind of forced our organization to, reassess how we convene. So, for example, our board meeting, we do physically meet, but we meet in a space that also allows people to be virtual. So we might have somebody sitting in their home office, or they might be in their car watching a soccer match, but they're able to join at the same time. So it's great that we've been able to kind of come into the century, because I think in the past maybe we had been a little bit slow to change, and now in the past 2 years we've really kind of moved forward, which is great.
So you mentioned that you're from Morris Plains. What other communities in and around Morristown do you find women coming from?
It's actually really interesting. The past like 5 years, we were pulling people from kind of the broader county, but this past 2 years, a lot of young women are coming from Morristown specifically. I don't know how familiar you are with Morristown, but there's a lot of development in Morristown, in the actual, like, around the green area, lots of apartments and condos going up. So a lot of folks are actually coming just directly from Morristown. But even though we're called the Junior League of Morristown, you can be from anywhere kind of in this proximity. And sometimes we have folks that they want to be with us, even though there are other junior leagues in the area, but they want to be part of our organization. But right now we're drawing a lot from Morristown specifically.
And besides the friendship and the giving back, I'm sure that it's helped a lot of careers along the way as well.
Absolutely. It's actually really interesting because when a when a member kind of goes into like the next phase of their life, they can become what we call a sustainer. And many of our sustainers are leading nonprofits in our area, whether they're the CEO, the director, or just very actively involved in local nonprofits. And I think that's great because I think, in the era of what's being called quiet quitting right now, I think a lot of people want to be able to give back to their community. And I think this is a perfect way to be able to do that in a place that's not just, it's great to be able to just go somewhere and just directly volunteer, but to be able to have the friendships and the social components. Junior League is an international organization. We have annual conferences where folks, I think last year the conference was in Austin. This year it's in Indianapolis. There's lots of different kinds of leadership opportunities that folks have, whether it's local or national or international. And one of the things that is great, like recently we had three different people moving into the area, and they were in junior leagues in their local community, and now they're transferring into our league, which is great because then we also get to kind of share best practices from their organization to ours, which we really love. It's such a nice way for people to kind of keep going with their experience. And I love that about the Junior League.
So you mentioned how the league has turned into this multi-generational collection of amazing women. What is the differences that you see amongst the different decades?
So it's actually fascinating. And I was a sociology major, so I'm really kind of into the whole concept of the generations. And so we have millennials, we have Gen X, we have baby boomers. And it's interesting that there really is a huge difference. The kind of the upcoming generation, like the 20 and 30-year olds, are really what you might call high touch. They really want a lot of interaction, they want a lot of feedback, they want a lot of recognition. And that's really not necessarily true of my generation or the generation above me. And so we're evolving kind of on the fly, which for me, I kind of love that because it's interesting to me. And I'm not offended that someone is different than me and has kind of a different expectation of me. But it's definitely an interesting nuance to being a leader in an organization like this, because you can't just kind of rest on this is how we've always done everything, so we're just going to keep doing it that way, because we can't. If we want to exist and we want folks to be involved in our organization, we have to evolve. So I love that. For me, it's kind of a challenge. And our current board is a mix of millennials and Gen X. And it's been like a nice partnership to be able to kind of see. And I rely heavily on the millennials to kind of tell me how should things be. Like if something really works for me, it probably isn't the way we should do something, because if it works for me, it's appealing to the wrong audience potentially. So for me, that's been kind of a fun aspect of it, is kind of realizing like how do we do it differently.
One of the things that I'm sure millennials have a lot of opinions on is how you run your events. And I know this fall you have your marquee event. Tell us all about it.
This event, which will probably change from last year to this year, one of our newer actives, who is like a little sister to me, she is so fun and so creative. And it was a trivia at a local bar restaurant called Homestead, which only just opened about 2 years ago. And it was a lot of fun. The trivia topics, she came up with most of them. She's a big Bravo fan. So there was a lot of, Real Housewives and what's the one about the boat? Get on board or something like that. I can't remember. So much fun. And people really loved it. They had a great time. Lots of great prizes, just really fun, engaging. And it was a brunch. So it was really kind of just like a fun way to get out. And we're going to be looking to do the same thing again this fall, which again, it will be just a lot of fun.
So you have your fall event coming up, but you do a lot of big events throughout the year. So what else do you have on the calendar?
Something that we just started, and it's going to turn into more of an event next year, is the period poverty, where we do a drive. We're going to be looking to create more of a community sponsorship, and we're going to actually look to kind of make it more of a community event where we bring in moms and tweens and different organizations in the community, because there's a lot of stigma. Like a lot of people aren't comfortable saying words that relate to women's health that are just a normal part of our every day or every month. So that's going to be a very exciting event. And then we're doing community events all year long. We have our board meetings. We do different social events. For our fundraiser, actually, we've worked with Samantha Rothman from Fairview Farms in Morristown to do. She has us come in and we actually make our centerpieces for our event, which is a lot of fun. We did a wreath workshop over the winter. Just lots of different fun things like that. Just trying to, make it different, make it fun for everybody. And we love it.
It sounds like such a good collection of people, and I am so happy you came on here to tell us all about the wonderful community that is the Junior League of Morristown. Where can people find out more?
So they can go to jlmnj.org, or they can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Our one of our newer members, who's also our capital development chair, is also our social media chair. And actually, just one more thing really quick to add. We recently we're partnering with Beanies, which is a local ice cream organization, and they are supporting us. We came up with a flavor called Fort Nonsense, which is based on Morristown's Founders Day, and it's a flavor just for us. And we'll probably do this in the future as well, but this was a new idea that someone came up with, or April Crystal came up with. And it's a fundraising opportunity for us, but it's a great way to just build awareness of the Junior League. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook, our website, and we can't wait to meet you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you so much. This was so great. Have a great weekend.
Cara DeFalco, a talented Montclair-based chef with community-minded give-back initiatives, is here to spice up today's show. Welcome, Cara.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks so much for having me.
You do so much across a variety of different platforms, but I know that it all stems back to the Cucina, Cara's Cucina. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so Kara's Cucina is my YouTube show. It's an online cooking show. It's the only one that's ever been nominated for an Area Emmy Award. So it's pretty unique in that. And we focus on home cooking, Italian and Italian American cuisine. That's what I know and love and grew up with. And I really want to get people back in the kitchen. It's better for their health, it's better for the environment, and it's better for the community on the whole.
And I feel like your show is such a throwback to those cooking shows you used to see on PBS. Is that where you got your inspiration from?
Yeah, maybe I'm dating myself a bit, but I know you and I are close and we had a similar childhood. We grew up watching, Lydia Bastianich and Nick Stellino on PBS, that full 30-minute step-by-step cooking show. They would make a full meal. And I always remember, even as a little kid, walking away and being like, I could do that. I could cook that. I remember my parents, my mom making some of those recipes. I grew up, thankfully, with a mom who cooked us 3 square a day. I had both grandmothers and a great grandmother alive, all of whom cooked. So I was just always surrounded by women who cooked and home cooked meals. And it was everything I knew growing up. And then when I kind of got into college and adulthood, it occurred to me, I started to realize from other people that people didn't grow up that way and they didn't know how to cook for themselves.
Yeah, well, that's where we differ. We had very similar upbringings, but you spent time in the kitchen with your grandmothers. I got fed by my grandmothers. That was the main difference.
I got fed too, but I had to help in order to
You had to help. No, I'm like, call me when it's ready. But you parlayed all of this success from being a very successful news anchor and traffic reporter in the area, and you really took a chance and gamble on yourself to really follow your love and kind of married your two passions, media with food. How is that experience stepping into the world of entrepreneurship?
You know what? I'm not gonna. It's a little terrifying, and I'll be honest. I think that the universe kind of kicked me in the rear end and said, "Go that way." In just a kind of series of events that left me with nothing else for a long time other than the ability to provide for myself and to kind of use an old fashioned phrase around cooking, literally was like, let's throw the spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. And Cucina was it. And I just feel so blessed because in doing it, so many wonderful things have really just kind of, in my mind, turned up in my life. I think a lot of people, I did set myself up to be ready for the opportunities that came, but I think that was really it in terms of what I did for myself necessarily. It was really like, oh, this showed up. My Italy trip being one of those things. Even the Emmy, it was, for me, it was kind of like, let me put it in and see what happens.
So where do you get the inspiration to come up with all of your unique recipes? Because despite the name, it's not just Italian cuisine.
It's not exclusively, and I think what I like to do is focus on simply the idea that cooking is accessible to everybody. So at the core of it, that foundation is family recipes, things I grew up cooking and eating with my family, and I love to share those, and I love to hear back from people where they say, oh my gosh, my nonna used to make that, but I never got the recipe from her. Thank you so much for sharing. Or I remember my mom making this and I just tried your recipe and it tastes just like hers. Those things are so heartwarming for me. So that's the core of it. But then as somebody who loves food and cooking and has a passion for it, I'm always looking to explore. So I'm constantly searching for new recipes. I'm constantly trying something new. And then if I am able to tweak it or tailor it really for myself, I love to then turn it around and share it again and say, hey, listen, I tried this and I did it this way and now you can too.
What are some of the latest trends that you're seeing in food right now? I feel like farm to table, everybody is all about that and getting things on their table that are from their local farms. And I think that's something that really came out of COVID as people with all that free time, researched where our food was coming from and kind of got a little freaked out. And I know you preach local, local, local as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think with COVID more so it was the fact that those grocery store shelves were empty. You couldn't buy pasta, you couldn't buy rice. And I remember in those first few weeks running through the baking section and picking up flour and thinking to myself, I'm so grateful that I know how to make my own bread, how to make my own pasta, how to make my own pizza dough, that I don't have to worry that those sections are empty. I can buy these really basic staples and make for myself still not just get by, but really good meals. And I think that's the thing that people started to learn. And yes, I mean, this is New Jersey. It's the garden state for a reason. I think, sometimes if you live in like those 20 miles outside of Manhattan, we forget that part. But this state grows blueberries and peppers and corn, tomato. The Jersey tomato is world renowned. And I think a lot, especially again during the pandemic, our farmers were coming out and saying, you don't have to find it at the grocery store. We've got it for you. Come through.
You use Kara's Cucina to also give back to the community in so many different ways. Talk about some of those initiatives that you're involved in.
So just speaking about farming in general, probably one of the organizations that I work with the most is Groundwork Elizabeth. So they're based out of Elizabeth, New Jersey, and their mission is to, their mission has kind of a number of legs to it, but they build urban farms. So in places like Elizabeth, which would technically be at times considered a food desert, which basically means that the residents there don't have easy access to fresh, healthy food. Residents can come to their urban farm, their micro farm behind the Almora Library and get a little patch of dirt and grow their own fruits and vegetables. And so it's just giving people that access to fresh, healthy food. So I do a lot with them. I do a number of their events throughout the year. I teach there. They do a lot of focus with kids. A lot of kids will go to the local bodega and they're more likely to buy a bag of Doritos than they are a banana, simply because they don't know. But when and especially kids, when they have that opportunity to grow their food, to harvest it, to prepare it, to make choices for themselves, they're more likely to eat it and eat well. I also just recently donated a dinner to Out Montclair and emceed a walk for Alzheimer's New Jersey. So did a couple different things already.
When you put yourself out there, all of these opportunities, like you said, they come to you like from all different walks of life. And that's probably the lesson if somebody's watching and is toying with the idea of becoming an entrepreneur or working in media. You just have to do it.
Tina Fey's Bossy Pants was a great book for me starting out in media in my 20s. And the piece of advice that she gave that just has always stuck with me was say yes to everything and you'll figure it out later on. And I feel like that's just kind of, I took that as my motto and that's what I've been doing. So people call and I'm like, sure, I can do that. I can figure that out. We'll find a way, and that leads you to connections and opportunities, even if maybe it's something that you're like, nah, I don't know, that doesn't quite fit, but it's like, let me try. And just see how it works out. And even if it's that specific thing is not something that you're interested in or you really want to do, you might meet somebody who's like, oh, by the way, like, I see you also do this. Why don't you help me, do this event instead, or we'll work on this project together. And so like I said, I just kind of took that advice and rolled with it. I was like, just say yes, I'll figure it out at some point.
Exactly. So somebody like you have a high bar as to what is good food. Where do you like to go around the Garden State?
I'm based in Montclair, so a lot of where I'm going out to eat is in and around Essex County. I would have to say probably one of my favorite places to go visit is Palazzone in Wayne, New Jersey. They are not only straight direct from Italy, they're actually from the same region of Italy that my family is from. So walking in there, it feels like you stepped across the Atlantic. It's some of the best food I've had. It's easily some of the best pastries you can get in the state, I'll venture to say. Another place that I love is Aquila Pizza in Little Falls. My buddy Jerry. It's in the Neapolitan style, but you would actually more refer to it as like artisanal pizza. So his tomatoes, his figs, his lemons, and he just incorporates them all into his pizzas, and they're delicious.
Gotta love that. Before we wrap, what is next for Kara's Cucina? Because I know you have a lot cooking.
Yeah. So I'm working on a couple of things. We're definitely trying to revamp and relaunch my Italy trip, where I take a small group of folks to a specific region of Italy. We explore their cuisine, we see the sights, but it really is culinary focused. So we try our hand at cooking, we taste local delicacies, and just travel around and really kind of get that taste of Italy. So I'm wanting to work on that, perfect it a little bit, and get that launched to the people. Looking to do another new season. Still trying to explore some different elements of the show. So the upcoming season, we're looking at possibly going to different restaurants and working with the chefs there and doing something along those lines. And also the very early stages of a cookbook that's, the outline is made on the computer somewhere. And yeah, just looking to do some more cooking classes, some pop-up events, get out there now that we're able to safely join one another, and start spending more time face-to-face with people.
I perked up when you said cookbook. I've been waiting for you to do this for years, so I'm very happy that that's finally in the works. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Well, where can people learn more and keep up with you?
CaraDeFalco.com. That houses everything, all my recipes, all my videos, my events, tickets to my events, blog posts, anything, gear, Cucina merch, anything you could want is there. And then you can really easily find me on Facebook and Instagram at Cara DeFalco. I do have a Pinterest page as well. That's going to be actually at Cara's Cucina. And of course, the show is free for everybody to watch anytime, all day long on YouTube. And same thing, youtube.com/Cara's Cucina.
Love it. Cara, I'm so happy we got to do this. Thank you so
Me
much.
too. Thank you. I so appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week.